Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Aesthetic Impact Informational Services Target of the Week. It's not of the week anymore. That's in the olden days. We've evolved to just a remote viewing practice. When they have a moment, and there are actually several people out there doing that. I uploaded all of our previous sessions onto YouTube last week or 10 days ago, and last I looked we were pushing 500 hits. I must say that most of them were not our sessions. They were mostly the guest speakers who did the tutorials and various topics. But anyway, these are valuable, and there are people who are working the targets and can't come. They appreciate us very much. Excuse me, I have a dry spot. Oh, and as you can tell, these are informal, so you get me coughing live and in person, and maybe Memorex. I'm going to plug for Memorex. Also, thanks to all of you who contributed sessions that are already up, and you did give me written permission to display those. There was some concern on YouTube that I was displaying third-party content, and they had, early on, there was a message sent to me about that, and did I want to dispute it? I only sent them one reply with an explanation. I haven't seen anything since, so hopefully we're good. So thanks to all of you for sending those back. And the fact that I'm getting that on tape here is anybody else who's listening realizes that it is the expectation. So, and also you should be thinking about from now on, as we move into more applications-oriented, broader knowledge of the world about remote viewing, whether or not you want to sanitize your sessions, if you want to leave your name on them, which in that case, I'm going to have to keep up with you, because if you want your sessions sanitized and you don't want your name on them, then you are visible to the public over there, and I need to make sure that I don't label your files so that I can retrieve them with your name on. So, tonight's session is the Kyrgyzstan sheep ranch. And you can see the image here, which we can enlarge if we need to. And I have quite a bit of text on the area and the sheep project, which is a big one for this country and this region. We had used this image as a phase 2 target practice on how to describe things several months, if not a year ago. And there are two man-made structures. You can see the log cabin. I think that might be a person standing in the doorway, but I can't swear to it. And it looks like some corrugated. You've got all types of textures and densities here. It looks like there is, that almost looks like a deer hide, but it could be sheep. I'm just not used to sheep being so brown. So there's a hide over the fence, there's wooden logs, there's corrugated metal, it looks like in the roof. Off the back is blue. I'm guessing that might be a tarp, a blue tarp, but I can't swear to that. I don't know that. There's a yurt over to the left, which appears to be fabric with ropes thrown over it. for stability and I assume construction and keep it from blowing away. And I'm sure there are posts and poles to anchor it. There's a bicycle tire right behind the yurt. You can see we have little sheep everywhere. You've got a man-made, or you've got bios. At least two. It looks like a bio off to the left. I would say, you know, in about the 10 o'clock position, and you've got a bio off to the right. No, you have two off at the right. And one of you actually has perceptions of areas. Hello, Mr. Buchanan. Nice to have you with us.
Hello.
Hey. I did a whole bunch of housekeeping stuff. You didn't miss anything. I just announced, you know, that we are recording, and thanks everybody for sending and sharing because it is much appreciated out in the community. That everything is available on YouTube, and thanks for the written permissions. And we're just going over, we have two structures here, the yurt and what appears to be a cabin made of wood and variegated metal. And the roof actually also might have an asphalt tarp on it, and I'm saying might. There's a bicycle behind the yurt. I can see a tire. We have two biologicals up in, I would say, about the 2 o'clock position. Looks like another one, but I hate to say this, it looks like a ferry over and about the 10 o'clock position. I don't know what that is. It looks like there could be someone standing in the doorway of the shed-like structure. We have sheep everywhere, as you can see, most of them contained, and looks like there's an entry both front and back, but the front looks like there might be at least one pole. It's up kind of high. They could duck under it, so maybe there's something I can't make out there. But they appear to be entering and exiting out the back side. So anyway, this photo is courtesy of my friend Steve Arene. And then we have, let me see, hopefully, there we go. A whole bunch of information on the Kyrgyzstan sheep development project. And they've tried to develop the sheep industry into an efficient and sustainable market-based production to increase the profitability of sheep and wool farming, services to farmers, and management and conservation of natural grazing resources. And if you are into getting data and dimensionals and numbers, purpose, there are, how many pages here for you? 5 pages. And I gave Fair Use for Teaching credit on that first page, so the link is there. And you can find this very easily if you go online and key in, I think it was the Kyrgyzstan Sheep Project. And you can read it.
This is one of my training targets, and when we were talking about this earlier, I was thinking of another target, which is also a training target of Afghani sheep ranch. And it's quite a bit different in the layout of the thing. Which is why when you said there's greenery in the background, I said, what?
Yeah, not total sand, eh?
Yeah.
So, all right. There's what it looks like. And let's see what we have here. First session. We have Russ's, and Russ has mic, and we test drove everybody's mic to make sure they're functional. So Russ, if you want to tell us about your target, that would be great, your session. Everybody can scroll down through it. Russ has, I put his images at the bottom. He has got a ton of information, and we did retask him. But as is his style. He has everything clumped as far as taste and smells.
Wow, that thing is triple spaced. Everything I had all compacted.
I know. When I have to reproduce your PDF, this is what happens unless I go through every line and delete it and make it compacted again. But to get your images in the document, I have to recreate your PDF. And this is the same thing that happens when you're in operations. If you have to reassemble viewers' stuff, it is time-consuming.
Yeah, Microsoft's been a problem for me.
And the thing is, yeah, all we have to do is teach you how to insert pictures in your PDF, and you're there. And then your really nice-looking stuff will still be there.
Yeah, I can't really speak for what's going to happen. It's too scattered. So I'll let you do the narration here.
Yeah,
I really don't know I have no idea what's coming up. I don't have a second screen or anything like that to keep up with.
A second screen?
I really don't.
I lost you. Why do you need a second screen? Okay, hang on a second. Let me see if I can get his original download back since it messes with his head. There we go. Let me see if I can get it to upload this one. If you guys can scroll down, though, you can see his pictures. No, not it. Let me get rid of this one.
Did you say Steve Arane provided this for you?
Uh-huh.
So you know him?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
He is a world traveler. All right, let me switch to desktop, and that way Russ can get his... All right, and hopefully this is... Okay, Russ, there's your original. And your images are all separate as JPEGs.
Yep, that's better for everyone to see.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I could see it from here, but...
Do I need to enlarge it or something?
No, I can see. I just gotta open my eyes a little bit wider or something. I really don't know where to begin to speak about the target. It's just, I mean, it's there. It takes me a while to gather everything up. I'd rather you guys narrate.
Well, the thing is, only you understand your methodology, so I can't explain.
Well, my methodology is just textured touch, soft, wet, silky, velvety, muddy, plasticky, ceramic-like, metallic attachment.
But I mean, how do you get that, Russ? When you put a pen to paper, how do you get this stuff?
I douse most everything. I don't remote view anything.
So do you make a sketch and then you touch it repeatedly and then write these things
my hand
down?
comes off on its own. For most sketches, I see them mentally. I can empathically feel the people move or feel where their eyes are going. Things like that. I can't, you know.
Well, you do a really good job at it for not having a name for it. Yeah, and so...
take a look at that second paragraph there on that page.
Yeah.
The terrain is local and a large depression, which is true. They're undercut to the left low bank. If you look at the picture itself, right where the gate is for the sheep pen, that part is raised and there's an undercut right to the left of it and a low bank going over toward the hut. And the bio is over and to the left side. And you can tell from this where he landed at the site. And you can also tell from this that he had sight contact, very good sight contact.
Yeah, and by the way, the terrain is focal in a large depression with an F. So it's focused. Focused in a large depression, focal.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, he's there, and we can scroll down through and look at all of his. Do you douse by? Do you ask yourself texture and touch?
Well, if I douse these things long enough, I get the P7s and other things, but sometimes that doesn't come to me. So when I go for biological or empathic, I can probably do better than most, but this level here is like Lynn said, it's this S2 level draws you into the target, the sensory level, and I count on this working for me to get me where I need to go.
Yeah, Russell, the reason we stopped doing it this way in the military, let me give you an example. Let's say there's a field of mustard, and it's, you know, the bright yellow flowers and all that, and the entire field turns yellow, and there's a red car parked in front of it. Generally, what we did in the military, because they said, okay, so there's yellow and there's red at the site, tell me what belongs to what. And so we would say, you know, there's something man-made at the site, or there's a biological, and or the man-made is red, the land is yellow, and so we started putting the descriptors under the different gestalts that they belong to, rather than just listing the smells, the taste, the textures, and all that, because when you have a really complicated site, you really don't know what the smell, what it is that smells, or what it is that's slick and smooth and shiny or whatever. But anyway,
so if I reattach my list to match those particular things, it make everybody happier.
Well, we'd be able to tell what you were looking at when you got them.
Like right here, you got motions I feel are pulling and so on, and so diagonal back and forth, and so that, you know, if you just had that as a feel, I feel something's pulling and all that, it wouldn't be telling where it goes in the picture and what it belongs to and all that. Whereas this way, motions I feel are, and you've got those under there. Right. And so that's generally the way we wound up doing it for customers. However, a lot of teachers teach this way, you know, list the colors, list the smells, list the tastes. And so when you do that, what you do is you go through and you say, okay, I've said red. Is there red? Yes, no, or can't feedback. I've said It smells like sheep poo. Is there sheep poo? You know,
Right.
Yes, no, or can't feed back. And so even the way you have it here is still acceptable and great for practicing the remote viewing. And so, you know, you would still score each one on its own, like time right here. Long term, yes. Yeah, raising sheep is a long-term thing. Is it daytime? Yes. Is it military-like? That would be, for me, a question mark. I'm not sure, but raising sheep.
They have to rise and shine with the sun.
Yeah, that's right, and you have to keep them in line, too.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, and it's easier than herding cats, I tell you.
Yeah.
But the temperature, jungle-like, humid, tropics, on each one of those, you could say yes, no, or can't feed back.
Yeah, I think the jungle-like looks like a big mist to me. That's for sure. I don't know what time of year this is. Jungle-like and tropics looks like it jumped in there from somewhere else.
Yeah, generally, if you get a good look at the people involved, and they're kind of small to be telling a lot about them in this picture. But if you see how they're dressed, you can pretty well tell what time of the year it is. You know, vaguely.
Oh, right, with the high-collared neck. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. He's got, is Albert Einstein?
Well, you need to count these things. So I thought, well, maybe there's something that deals with, I know it dealt with mathematics, you needed to count things. I didn't realize it was just sheep.
Well, Albert was a mathematician, but he also had a mustache. And
right.
I do believe that there's some mustache similarity as well. So
there is?
Culturally, do these folks, no, we don't have them in the picture.
Yeah.
But it would be a question mark
it
or
would
a
be
no.
a question mark, yeah.
But I think culturally, there's a chance that the possible association of a mustache might be there. But I wanted to, Lynn went where I was going to try and go as well. I wanted to find out if you get your perceptions by dowsing, by just, do you just write down a big list and then cluster them for us under different things?
My hand takes off and it hits on the words, and just like Lynn sweep, you know when Lynn says, go through your list and sweep through it quickly, what sticks is going to be real, what's not, you're not going to stick to, throw it out. Well, that's what I do to a larger list to start with.
So then you cluster them under categories for us here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like you douse according to color and then get stuff. You just get all kinds of sight,
I do it
contact
according to sensory category. Yeah.
Oh, so you
not randomly.
You set out to actually get perceptions. You cue yourself with color, and then you get everything that pertains to color.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Russell, what I think there may be a disconnect here. What she's saying is, do you say color, and then you list when you're doing the session?
Right.
Do you cue yourself with color and then list all the colors, and then cue yourself with size?
Yes.
Or do you just get whatever comes to mind and then organize it in the summary?
No, not whatever comes to mind. I organize it as I go.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Great. Now all we have to do is get you to convert it to Gestalts, and you are going to be like Mach 10 with whatever they fly shuttle speed these days. Who knows?
Well, in Texas we call it like a barn on fire.
Yeah. I'm thinking everything I came up with had that, oh no, there's got to be faster than that, so I just gave up. All right, well, let me stop sharing my desktop because I asked Russ if he wanted to repack, and he said okay. And it took him a split second. He said, That's where is it? That's the one that didn't want to upload. Okay, here we go again. Sorry about the psychedelics and the roller coaster here, because I can get it. All right. You can see just me messing around with your stuff. Okay. Again, this is going to drive Russ nuts because it's all double spaced, but there's not that much of it. Because I'm scrolling down really fast just for a minute. Here's his sketch, and I took a chance on the almond beige color because, again, he didn't have his summary written out by Gestalt, and I wasn't sure exactly what he was seeing, but he's always spot on. And so I asked him if he would tell us more about the almond beige color. And he threw in his RV stuff, which I had to skip over. And then we've got the ideo is horizontal lines in a square shape with curved group clustering at the center with wavy, thin, long, wavering vertical aspect connecting to center point upward. And if you'll remember what that yurt looked like. And its textural touch, it was bumpy, foamy, cloth-like heavy material, straw-like, mossy, woody, ceramic-like in multiples, clay-like, fatty, sculpted as in a stray cat out of jars. The biological is fleshy imitation, doll-like association in multiples, and it was beige almond. The tastes present were sweet, sour, bad, my tongue is rolling to reject, saliva, bitter, sulfuric, non-edible, rotten eggs, watery, stick-like, and multiple contain. The smells were outside, methane. Remember all that little sheep dung that's probably hanging around. And it could be cooking with gas as far as we know. Forest is pine-like, multiple leathery-like, and we did see that one sheep hide draped over the fence for consideration. Electrical energy shorting, smoky, fluids rapidly fall like rain, it's watery, fuel-like, and chemical-like. There are echoing sounds, dripping, distant vessels that are horn-like, watery outpouring, talking, and rock-like can fall. There's a metallic rattling, and it's both temperature-wise warm and cool at 48 degrees, and I don't have a differentiation between inside or outside. Dimensionals, we've got a vast sky, upward view, at some point a high place. Horizontal curves, arches, thick, oblong, hull-like, multi-level height, structural, relative to being called ultralight, girding metallic, wide, man-made fanning, looping, enclosed, stooped, stepped, up-down vertical motion, and emotions or attitudes present were funny, artistic, visionary, dreamer, involves mathematical, exact proportioning, replication, creates a conversation piece, inspires talkative, and see automatic redrawing if desired. And we have his sketch. So there we go. There is Russell's retasking. I thought he got a large amount of hits, would be scored yeses. And I will shush and let you all discuss. Do you need me to keep my desktop up, or can I go back to the room?
Well, that looks like it could be a fence, a human biological with a long overcoat of some kind. You see the upward terrain, but beyond that, I don't give myself any credit. It looks a little bit too uniform to me to be like that corral was.
It's not the corral, I don't think.
What do you think it is?
Look at this yurt over here. Can you, let me get my little pencil thing here. Look at this right here, and look at those perceptions.
I'd have to compare the picture in detail.
Right.
I can't really. Sometimes you can take those. When my hand skips on when I automatically do that, you can connect the lines, but I don't know if it's really like that until you match some overlays later on.
Do you have anything you want to throw in there?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. I know it's difficult. I just threw that his session results up there. And it's difficult because I can't show you them. His feedback image is not attached to his session. So it's hard to go back and forth, but if you start looking at those perceptions and look at the way that this is constructed, the way there are lines, the fabric, and stuff like that, you're going to, I think, find a lot of yeses.
Yeah, and that sketch of the people, and I don't see any steps on here and so on, but, you know, steps or bridges or anything, but I would have to wonder, and this of course would be a question mark, can't feedback, if the one on the left was a picture of the person, and the one on the right, now this is a possibility, not waffling, okay? You still have to give it a question mark. The one on the right was just...
Here?
No, well, the one here, but in that sketch that he drew,
yeah, okay.
the one on the right absolutely looked Muslim. And I was wondering if that was a symbolic sketch that was thrown in with the real sketch, and that happens at times. Possibly his subconscious saying these are Muslims. And you know, that's a question to which there is no answer.
Yeah.
But it's still a possibility.
If you were viewing this structure, though, there are steps in front of it, or things that might be interpreted as steps.
Okay, but he drew a picture of two people.
Yeah. That's not what I cued him on, though. I cued him on, tell me what is almond beige.
Yeah, but...
he drew a picture of two people.
Yeah, and when you task a viewer, you're going to get what the viewer gives you.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. The only thing I can think that it may not be steps, because it might be like more like a 2D type sketch. See that rail in that building with the lines horizontally? It could be that.
Right.
And then I jumped and picked up a biological that wasn't, or maybe the guy in the door, inside the door, but they would have to be above, and it doesn't make sense that way either, really. It's more like two parts put together.
What you always have to remember is that the sketch is not how your eyes see the target, it's how your mind sees the target. And this is one thing that people regularly overlook, like when they're doing newspaper articles and they just want a picture, you know, a sketch or something like that, and they come up and they say, oh, well, this was drawn close but wrong. No, it's how your subconscious sees the target. And so this is why sometimes symbolic, sometimes straight, and so on. You'll also find that things that are more important in the target will generally be drawn larger because your subconscious mind sees them as larger and gives more detail to them. And things that are not important will be drawn smaller. And this, of course, is one thing that analysts pay attention to, is that if they have a picture of the feedback and they have your sketch that you've drawn, what have you emphasized in size and what have you diminished in size? Because even that, to a good analyst, is important information about the target itself. So this is a whole lot more complex science than just, you know.
Oh, let's just match a couple things to the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
Russell.
understand that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is why I was talking about the summary like that. There where you put the biological is and the motion is and all, if you do it that way and then say like the biological is, and here's where you put the smells, the senses, the, you know, the ambiance and all that about the biological, because listing taste and smells and all that is great, and it's great viewing, and it's scoreable, and it tells whether or not you got the target and all. But when you move over into operations, it's totally useless. And so
because we had no idea what you were looking at when you wrote that down.
Yeah, and so that's why I was talking about the other way of doing it, and that's why you know, I've trained Teresa to do things that way. That's why she's getting confused on it.
Well, it's actually, I'm trying to slowly get Russell to, I mean, he writes things down, he summarizes. Compared to months ago, he's done a complete 180. And so now if I can get him to view according to Gestalt instead of sensory, then we'll have made another huge step.
I remember, and I'm looking at this session here, and he's growing leaps and bounds here.
That is correct. And he bought a mic so he can talk to us.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Russell. And I never mean to put you on the hot seat here, and it seems like we are really going at this. But like we just said, you are growing by leaps and bounds here, and it's phenomenal. It has been months. It may seem like a long time, but really you are learning an extremely complex art and science.
I'll try to figure out the rest of it here.
That's okay.
As soon as I can.
Hey, you are doing great. All right, let's see whose stuff is up next. Oh, don't tell me. Is that his? No, that's still his PDF. All right. This is Janine. And we have 7 pages, including a typed summary. Janine, if you want to jump in here any time, she writes her coordinates and ideograms and has several gestalts here to work with. And you guys can go ahead and move down through the session. She has several sketches. I didn't get a chance to review hers, actually. She sends in JPEG, so I had to get this assembled into a document so we could scroll through it. And she and I are going to be working on how to get everything in a document form. So anyway, I have a lot of underwater stuff going on here. Lynn, did you happen to catch when she took the underwater dive?
I was looking to see the, yeah, I saw the switch.
Yeah. Well, let's get to her summary and see what she kept.
Okay. I think it may have happened with the word splashing that she had. I'm not sure.
Okay. She has a lot of sketching this session.
That's good.
I've found that if I can't cue off anything in the summary, if I look at the sketches, if I want to retask somebody for practice. All right, here's your summary. Land, natural, water, and life.
4 gestalts.
Impression of someone looking out through a window. Is this from a bed or, how do I say that, divan?
Which is entirely possible. You'd have to give it a question mark because you can't feed back.
Because culturally, I haven't lived there, but let's see. Someone wearing a heavy padded pressurized suit with a helmet being seen through a large window within a heavy enclosure. Thought the person was underwater due to perception of bubbles coming up from the helmet. Another perception of the horizon and possibly the sun sinking into a flat surface. Dampness, something rhythmic, feeling of something encased or enclosed, and something circular, an impression of stairs. Appeared to be a long structure that was light and raised in, light colored and raised in the center. Long tiled corridor that appeared to end in a wall. Glimpses of what appeared to be a tall triangular shape, much like smoke billowing at a distance. Appeared to be an oblong shape with clunky oblong feet at the end of thin legs. Glimpse of a rectangular box with switches or doodads on the face, sitting on a flat surface table, and feeling that something was to be learned. Impression of a boat shape with levels and apertures, maybe an AOL. And some disjointed perceptions, something shaped like a shower pan sitting on a flat surface. Inside a dim area, room had tall shelving and a tall brick or stone section similar to a fireplace. No one in the room. Impression that a couple of people had just left it, and a man getting into a vehicle and a female as well, talking about her dress. And perception of another low structure with wide, shallow steps appeared to be some sort of marker or emblem, open metal, possibly shaped like a circle or sphere with something inside it, like a slightly stylized star or cross. All right, there is Miss Janine.
You want my take on this one?
It.
I've seen this before. Note the detail and how it fits together and everything.
Mm-hmm.
In AOLs, you'll get things that fit together like this, but then they'll change. And all of a sudden, the scene will be about something else, and then it'll change and something about something else. This looks to me like she jumped target. And I would be almost willing to bet that at some time in probably the near future, she's going to get this as a target. And she'll wind up saying, what happened? And you know, get all excited about it. And that excitement of getting this as a future target is what will have drawn her off on this target here. From this target to the future target. This is just too coherent all the way through it. It looks like she's doing a good session on the wrong target.
Janine, are you participating in other, I think you are, ARV groups or working targets? Because we have several people with target practices going now. I'm just looking to see if she types anything in. Okay, yeah, at least she's with Daz at TKR, so there's at least one. And she, on page 2, she got the AOL in the water shipwreck. Yeah, she got splashing, thumping, rumbling, slapping, horizontal, confused, then got the AOL, disoriented, overwhelmed. And she went into stage 3 after her lines are kind of equal here, so I can't tell which was the last perception because they're so close together. Went into stage 3 and started sketching. Pretty close to the AOL. Did get, I'm looking for an AI in there.
Yeah, Janine, if that does happen, if like with Daz or with someone else, if you get this as a target in the future, what will happen is you'll probably do a lot of cuss words, first of all, and then you'll wonder what in the world it was that made you describe the future target on this one, and the excitement and the wonder of what made you do it is generally what made you do it, because you will be attracted in time to the more exciting target. But anyway, if that does happen, would you come back and let us know? Because this has all the earmarks of a target jump.
One thing I was going to talk to you about is your structure. You've gone into phase 1 and gotten multiple gestalts, and then when you came down into phase 2, you didn't tell us which one of those gestalts you're working. So if you're probing one of these ideograms, I don't know which one is glassy, moist, slick, beige, blue, of all those gestalts that you have.
What you'll generally find out is that, like if she said water, and then she said glossy, smooth, and all that, that after 3 or 4 impressions, she's going to start winking about the site again and go describing the land and the natural and everything else anyway. So the only way you can really tell on that as an analyst is by how she collects these and organizes them in the summary. Like, where does she put the, let me get a, okay, where does she put, okay.
Perceptions of land, natural, water, and life.
Okay, but like I was trying to look in stage 2 thing. Okay, I saw the word beige. In her summary, which gestalt does she list beige under? Now she's not doing it by gestalts either. So
no.
This, and so
it's very hard. She's freestyle, so she has.
Yeah, it's freestyle, and that's always hard for an analyst and a reporter and so on, and a judge. But as far as the analyst is concerned, like page 2, stage 2, splashing, thumping, rumbling, slapping, horizontal, confused, and so on. Where does, in the summary, does she put the slapping under the water, under the water gestalt?
She doesn't. It's all big paragraph.
I know, but for normally CRB,
yeah,
that's the way an analyst tells which of these gestalts go, which of these descriptors.
Right, but I don't have that luxury here, so I'm trying to hopefully get her swung around.
Yeah, good. Good. Like I say, doing it in paragraph format and all is just like the listing and the other thing. It's great when you're learning and it's great when you're practicing, but the minute you go over into operations, it just really doesn't work that way anymore. And so, well, I know when I teach, from the first day of basic, I teach toward people going into operations. So, doing it, writing run-on paragraphs for your summary, that's not bad, and it shows that you've done the viewing, and it shows you how to organize your work and all that. But when you go into operations, there's a disconnect there, and it makes the crossover into operations a particularly hard thing.
Well, if you could, even when you write a paragraph summary, if a viewer could just describe the land, give a paragraph to the land, and then a paragraph to the natural, and a paragraph to the water. Because sometimes, you know, when we start doing the summaries and in the outline form, it just seems like Greek to them. So if you have to write a paragraph, if you could just thoroughly describe what you got that pertains to each individual thing instead of jumbling it all together.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have, like I said, a little group going here who gets good stuff.
Well, can I point out one more thing then?
Yes, you can.
Okay, this summary right here. Look at the second paragraph. There also appeared to be a long structure. That means that there is a man-made perceived too. The fact that it wasn't perceived in stage 1 doesn't matter. When you write your summary, you can go back and add something man-made up in that first line. And so, because you got it later in the session, you know. And so the gestalts like that, they come with an ideogram in stage 1, but they may also sneak in later in the session, even without an ideogram. Like you'll say, there's land and water, and then somewhere along the way you hear, you know, you're at the land and water interface and you hear children laughing and playing. Ah, you got a biological. You don't have an ideogram for it, but when you write your summary, you can go ahead and stick it in.
She made a comment over here. Says she's running through the sensory groups similar to Russ, and then she starts jumping to glimpses of stuff. So if she would list her major gestalts and possibly probe according to those, might be something to try. And work in her ideograms, I mean. Because if you, did you understand what we were saying about instead of just jumping down to, oh, wrong page, I want like page 2. If you would get your ideograms in phase 1 and then come down to phase 2, P2, and write which of your gestalts that you're going to start working. Land, and yes, you're still going to be winking about the site. You're still going to be getting perceptions from every place, but you would be touching that ideogram or this word and then coming down and writing your perception.
Yeah, and all that does is it helps you keep going in a session, because, you know, if you come to a screeching halt or something like that and you can't get anything, you just go up and touch the next ideogram, come down and say P2, water, and it gives you a place to get started and get motivated again. And so that cueing like that of saying phase 2, land, it gives you a place to get started. We know that everything that you describe under land doesn't belong to the land because you're winking about the site. But it makes it a whole lot easier as you do the session to get new impressions. And so you know, you may describe the man-made under land, no problem, because when you write your summary, that's all going to get sorted out. But writing like P2, land, what that's going to do is it's going to give you something to go for. It gives you something to do so that if you hit one of those spaces where you just kind of blank out, you just touch another one and you're good to go again. It makes the whole session a whole lot easier.
Well, it kind of helps you, it's organization. So in stage 2, I look up at stage 1 and try to divide the ideograms. Do you want to take that one, or?
Okay, up in stage 1, you've got your ideograms for like man-made, water, land, and all that. Okay, and you go into phase 2 and you say, okay, I'm going to describe the land. The first 2 or 3 or 4 impressions are going to be of the land, but then every remote viewer, no matter how many years you're in this, every remote viewer will then start doing what's called winking about the site. And you'll say the land is grassy, the land is flat, the land is dark brown, the land is, has waves on it, and it's salty tasting and all this. Okay, that's all listed under land. But when you go back and do your summary, all of those descriptors will be taken and put under the gestalt, that where it belongs. And so
I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm on page 2 making examples.
And if you'll excuse me, my mouse just died. I'm going to have to go find another mouse. I'll be back.
Oh. Okay, so what we were trying to explain is when you finish, phase 1 is where you take your coordinates and get your ideograms, which are your major gestalts. And then phase 2, you come down and for each of those gestalts, you probe them one at a time and write all your perceptions. I'm messing with your session here on your page, on the page 2 in WebEx. But there was some blank space and I started writing. But way over on the left-hand column, you would actually write P2 and in parentheses just choose one of those gestalts. I'm sorry. And you would probe one gestalt at a time until you thought you got your AI, and then you move into phase 3 and you start sketching. Sketches pop through, that's no problem. And especially since you're freestyling, you're learning how. So I'm watching the text box to see, am I making any sense to you? Or you can take your mic off and talk. Yes, I can go, I saw, and I can go to your first page. There you go. Go ahead, phase 1's good. You took your gestalt, your coordinates several times. You got several ideograms. So you have plenty there to work with for site contact. Okay, go ahead. So that's phase 1. And then you declared stage 2 and just started, as I go down to stage 2, right there before you write glassy, like Lynn said, you're collecting information from all over the site. It's just coming in. But if you could actually write P2 and one of your gestalts, and then if you were, say you just took them like from top to bottom, so you kind of just stay organized or whatever, just write land here, right above glassy, and you go up and touch that ideogram for land and come down and write. Touch the ideogram for land, come down and write.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Go ahead.
And when you do, all it's hoping you do is organize the session and keep you moving.
Yep.
Now, there'll be times when you touch the ideogram for land and you come down and you're going to start describing the water or the people or something else, even though it's listed under land.
Because they're there.
Because they're there. And when you write your summary, that's when you separate, the people are not glossy, the people are not moist, and so on. It's the water that's glassy and moist and all that. So when you write your summary, that's when you have to be organized. When you're doing this queuing, what the queuing methodology does is it just helps you get the session going and it helps you make it easier to view. And if you've ever had one of those sessions where it's just like pulling teeth to get any information at all, that's when you fall back on this thing and you just touch an ideogram and you say, okay, I'm going to describe the water. And it gives you something to focus on instead of having to focus on the entire target. Makes it a whole lot easier to view. And then, if stuff comes in, let's say you've queued phase 2, water, and stuff comes in about people and all that, don't worry about it because it will sort out when you write your summary. So writing the summary is totally different from, doing the session. And it's in the summary where you have to be clear to your customer. It's in the session where you just record what your mind is telling you. Was that clear at all? I'm sorry.
Yep, I got it.
Cool. Excellent. I see your note. Okay, it is 9:19. I probably ought to be getting a move on. And I was going to take some of these down. All right. We came up on Michelle's next. I didn't put them up in any order, Jed. I'm sorry if you're going last again. Michelle has 11 pages. And a fair amount of stuff that she's gotten. And you jump in anytime, ma'am. And
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say boo. That's all. It was a very strange session.
Why was it a strange session?
It was one of the first times in doing these sessions that it's like right when I started, everything kind of went out the window. And looking back, I would have stopped, taken a break, and started over, to kind of get a grip. Because I even lost the small amount of form and organization that I had in some of the earlier ones. So I apologize, and
No apologies. You just have to
work
take
hard.
A deep breath. The whole thing is you do it, and you take a deep breath, and step back, and then look at it objectively and say, okay, what did I learn here? What do I think I did? And just troubleshoot.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the problems is that, like if you remember the one that's old abandoned schoolhouse and others, those were targets that had one focal point, and they were complex targets, but they basically had one focal point. This one has the yurt, the shack, the sheep, the people, and each one acts as a focal point, and so there's no one certain focal point on this target. It's not a more complex target. It's just a, I guess you'd say, more generalized target, and that winds up being harder because there's so many things that are separate that each one will attract your attention and become a target of its own. And so, part of any problem that anybody had on this one is from the target itself. It's a great target, but this is one you're going to learn from. I mean, this one you're going to learn from because there's so many places and so many attractors that you're just pulled back and forth across the site. It's a good selection, good learning selection.
Well,
that was painful.
One thing that I don't want to not have the one focal point. I'm trying to pick a variety of real-world activities and sites and places and events because
right. That's why I say this was a good target.
We can't always view hot air balloon festivals.
Right.
And if you're going for a missing kid, it might be in a quiet warehouse where they come, or a kidnapped person. They come and check on them once a day. And so an empty schoolhouse works for an empty structure where it's quiet and nothing's going on, you know? So I'm trying to give you guys some exposure to different cultures and different activities and areas of the world and stuff like that. So
yeah, and like I say, this was a good target selection because this is a good learning. This is one of the reasons why I have this as one of my teaching targets.
Did I get this from you? I was sure I got this from Steve Arene.
I'm not sure.
Or did you get it from me? Did you
no, I got it.
Too?
I got it. I don't know where I got it. Probably off the internet or something. But
not a phase 2, or is it on the disc?
No, it's one of my teaching targets. So you may have gotten this one in class too.
Well, I gotta write Steve Arene and see, does this look like you? And otherwise, whoops, you got a whole bunch of credit.
Yeah, but the assortment of targets that Teresa has been giving you has been a great selection for teaching you the different aspects of this very complex science, by the way.
That's my goal.
So,
that's my goal, actually.
Yeah,
to showcase as many pieces of it as I can think to find.
Yeah, and so the targets that Teresa is picking, there are going to be some of these that are just like pulling teeth to get, and some of them are going to be, you know, just like falling down. I mean, they're going to be so easy. And so, but when you hit the real world out there, the world's going to give you a spectrum of everything. And Teresa's been selecting targets that are going to prepare you for that. Good selection.
Thanks, boss. Michelle, I knew that you were having trouble focusing because I can always tell when you start going off into sentences instead of individual perceptions. It's like, okay, she's got good sight contact and she's overwhelmed, or the artist in her is coming out and she is writing. But anyway, go ahead.
I was in Indianapolis, I think. Oh. I didn't make it to the sheep ranch, so sorry.
Okay, maybe you're at the Indianapolis Zoo. There are no sorries, because if you don't practice, you don't learn squat. So, see, I like this pleasant, picturesque. I'm not too sure you blew it.
No, I blew it.
Yeah, well, I've seen people draw the Eiffel Tower, look at a picture of the feedback Eiffel Tower, so I didn't get anything.
Yeah, the viewer is always their hardest critic.
Yeah.
People who shoot down remote viewing always say, well, you know, a viewer is going to waffle and all that. I have seen that probably 98% of the viewers will waffle against themselves. And like you say, they may draw the Eiffel Tower and the target's the Eiffel Tower, and they'll say, oh, well, that's not what I got.
Okay. It's 9:27, and let's take a look at Jed. And Jed will jump in here, I'm sure. He has been practicing advanced P6 tools and move commands, and getting all the tools that are available to him in his tool belt. He's been getting familiar with those and turning in some marathon sessions here. So Jed, if you're very good at explaining, so why don't I just turn the mic over to you?
Well, excuse me, I've been sitting here looking up some of the with these farming operations over there in Tajikistan, and I do know that in my summary or in the session, I do mention the word collective, and that is what they are known as collectives. I believe that's like halfway through my session. Other than that,
we go to your summary.
Okay. I unfortunately had the collective down in my summary, intern summary, and I moved that over to it felt like it was a biological. So I'm not sure, but I did put collective in under biological. Originally it was under the intern summary as a man, but that was how I felt about it. And there you see the word collective. And that's what they were known of as under the Soviet Union, and afterwards they still know them as that. I did look up the history of that, what they were doing, and they ended up overgrazing. They had a huge influx of sheep. So by the 1960s and 70s and 50s, they had more than doubled the number of sheep in that area, and they had overgrazed, which led to problems, I guess, with the ability to feed the sheep in that. But at the same time, they loosened up their controls on allowing people later on to harvest their own crops or hold their own land or whatever and raise their own animals. I guess that's what to say it was. So that's a little bit of the history of giving of it, simply because when I look at my summary, I'm trying to ascertain did I hit any of that historical-wise in there and that too.
Let's look at it another way. Is there a biological? Yeah. Is there activity? Yeah. Is there man-made? Yeah. Is it a location? Yeah. Is it a location that deals with history? Yeah. The biological is collective. The biological is edgy. I don't know exactly what that means. So I wouldn't know how to do that, but squishy, purple, I think I would have to give a no for purple. Orchestrated, oh yeah. Herding sheep, yeah. Controlled, yeah. Sweating, so on. And, you know, you've got humans and sheep in here, and the biological seems to be descriptors of both mixed in together. And so, and where you get down to the characteristics of the biological are cute, fuzzy, and so on.
Black sheep have purple noses, not waffling. That's just...
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They look like, you know, purple, there's a word. It's not onyx. That's not it. Of course, it'll come to me later.
It's from the blood flow turning purple in the cold weather. I've seen that on sheep, but that's sort of like humans. But that, yeah, I'm not sure what that would be with those particular sheep. And that I'd have to mark as an unknown.
Gotcha. You, the farmer, anyway. I thought that this might resonate with you. I didn't intend it, but I was kind of interested to see how you'd go. Now I'm going to shush and let Lynn and yourself run with this again, the two of you.
Okay, well, here's sort of what I was talking about earlier about the summary. There's a man-made, which is obstructive, tall, and inclining. The obstructive part has points of view and shadowing. There is a location which is perpendicular, heartfelt, and so on. And this got kind of out of shape here.
Well, excuse me. I intended it that way because it's a map.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's a map on there. All right, I understand. Yeah, but like on the writing of the summary, if you do it in paragraph form, of course, this wouldn't apply. But you would still say, you know, there's activity and man-made and land and so on. So even in a paragraph format, you would say the activity is, and give that paragraph about the activity. Then the man-made is, and give that paragraph about it. But here in outline form, doing it this way, there's an activity which is helping and squaring. Okay, the squaring is rounding and groovy. Okay, so that's how the outline form, which is always much more specific as to what descriptors go to what. That's how the outline form is done. But like I say, if you were doing paragraph, you would do a paragraph on the activity, a paragraph on the man-made, a paragraph on the location, and so on. This looks good to me. It looks really good to me. Go ahead.
Is the map, the way I did the mapping, is that okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There is another page with number 6, because it didn't all fit on there. It's way off to the side.
Yeah. Okay.
And one other question. It says history under number 5 there. It gets down to the bottom. It says old, which is see history. So I put history down below.
Oh, yeah. That's great, because that tells exactly where the history goes in the description of the walking and the cross training. And the old part of it. Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. And you know, if this were like a PDF, one thing you could do is like print this out and then rescan it in as a PDF, but actually draw the map right here over your 1, 2, 3s and so on. Just sketch a map in around it and then scan it back in to the PDF.
Okay.
And that makes it even clearer. So, but yeah, this is perfect and the way to do it.
Okay.
I went out roaming while you guys were talking, and I have a website here, and I don't know that this particular sheep is at that on that farm. It says these brown sheep, where did that go, have almost purple noses. There they go. Brown sheep are characterized by a deep red-brown, almost purple nose. So anyway, sorry, I'm back.
That's very neat. That's interesting to find out.
My uncle raised sheep. My friends raised sheep. And my cousin raised sheep. So anyway, back, and he did a great job on his map. I was listening.
Yeah, did you get the dowsing? I was kind of happy with that.
If it is in your session, we can go back up to that page.
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
What kind of dowsing did you do?
A pendulum.
Ah, very good.
And after having several bad luck, I thought I did really good this time. And I did good on another one that I did for Teresa here. I thought I did anyways. I'm kind of probably telling my...
There you go.
Yeah, I was looking to see...
Oh, I put Kleenex tissue in there because I kept coming up with this white white fluffy stuff. I did a horrible job on my modeling. I'm sorry about that, but that was terrible.
Well, I know. It kind of looks like sheep patties to me, but...
How did you how did you do the pendulum? What method did you use with the pendulum?
I did Paul Smith's dowsing DVD.
Okay.
I programmed it ahead of time, and
okay, so like forward and backward is yes and sideways is no or something?
Yeah, there's the...
Okay, and then how did you use the pendulum from that point? Did you just move it around over the page?
What I did is I stopped it over each continent.
Okay.
And then when I got to a continent, I marked that continent. Then I went back over that continent and I got a second mark.
Oh, very good.
The second mark is the one over Kyrgyzstan, or very close to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which just blew me away when...
Yeah. Teresa?
Yeah.
You might want to have one of these kind of training classes on the different CRV uses of the pendulum too, or the different types of dowsing used by CRV.
Are you up with that? I'm okay. I'm not actively soliciting that, but it's in the back of my head as something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Might be helpful to people.
And we need to visit that, and I think really mapping and using 3D material, we should address that as well.
Sure.
But I want to do two different ones.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. That's not out for advertisement, by the way. It's like,
okay.
Because people will be like, next week? No. And by the way, just to let everybody know, Lynn's target, he's cleaning the virus off his entire website, and the target pool is hopefully going to go up a week at a time or a month at a time. Linda was going to start working on that.
I think she's going to put it up a year at a time.
I couldn't remember how she had broken it down.
Yeah, she started with 2011, and I think she may already have that up, I'm not sure, but then she's going to go backward to 2006.
Okay.
And, of course, I'll be adding forward into 2013.
Let me see if while you guys are talking.
Okay.
You know, I just want to say something, Lynn.
Yeah,
Lynn, you have the best website for target pool out there. I mean, there's nothing that comes close to that.
Thank you. We're going to make a slight change. Most people don't use the front loading, and so instead of the front loading, I think what we're going to do is we're going to, when you first go to the target, it's going to say, what level of experience are you? Are you beginner, intermediate, advanced, or whatever? And then, instead of front loading, it'll give you a task to do on the target according to your level of training and expertise and, you know, experience and all that. We're going to try that and see how it works. And I think it'll work a whole lot better for people.
Okay.
And I typed in your website still temporarily down for maintenance. So I know Linda is going to put them up sections at a time because instead of waiting for all bazillion targets from all the years all at once.
Yeah.
And I think Michelle and I have been sorely missing access to your target pool.
Oh, so have I. So have a lot of people. I've been getting emails from people that, you know, aren't even related to any of these email lists or anything, saying that they used the targets and what happened to them and all that. So we're going to get them back up as soon as we can. The problem is we're having to virus check and go through the text of every single file, and there are 5,000 files on there. So it's just miserable. Whoever writes these viruses, I would like to just offer, you know, if it weren't illegal, I think I would offer $1,000 for any severed finger of the people who write viruses. It's not exactly a Christian attitude, but, you know.
I think we could suffice to say if we could turn them into law enforcement, we cheerfully would.
Well, they know exactly who wrote the virus, the black hole virus that infected our site that you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
It's a guy in Russia. He's advertising that he wrote it and that he will write viruses for other people if they will pay him, you know.
Jeez.
And the Russians aren't doing anything about it, so.
I know I was out foraging there while you guys were talking. Jed and I were talking last week about how he's got a pretty fair handle on the various tools that are available for him to use when he thinks he needs to pull one of them out of his tool belt.
Good.
So he's going to try and work toward get site contact, go through structure, get in the information you need, and get back out without turning in a 50-page session, using front loading and working smart and things of that nature. Because right now, he's been practicing taking breaks and just getting as much information as he could. So we're going to try and focus him down just a little bit. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that for the both of us?
Well, yeah, it's good to do that. It's very good to do that because it helps you be succinct. And you know, we've had times when we've had to do a session and we could hear the general out in the hallway tapping his foot waiting for us to finish. And so doing a quick session and getting good information. However, there are times when what will be needed will be a 100-page session with a 20-page summary, you know. And so don't lose the ability to do complete detailed work. But it's really good practice to get in, get out, and, you know, in 2 or 3 pages have the target. And like when you go into ARV, ideally, you should be able to do stage 1, list the gestalts, and if the person has selected targets right, they'd look at the gestalts and they'd say, oh, I know which target it is, and here you've only done stage 1. But you know, there are times when you need to do a quick session, and there are times when you need to do a detailed session, and don't sacrifice one for the other. So
if he were to try, say that we had the post-grad operational viewing program going and he wanted to apply for that, what should he, as an advanced student, be looking toward? Because he's been doing advanced sessions for a while now. What, just, you know, practicing, getting familiar, what would he need to start thinking about to become more proficient at their expectations if he were to even apply for that program?
Ideograms. As you know, stage 6 and beyond that is almost all ideograms. It's highly, highly evolved ideograms that will give you, you know, mapping. The mapping that you do is an ideogram itself. The dowsing that you do is an ideogram. You're feeling across the map for wherever you find the perception and so on. And the ideogram practice, both in stage 1, stage 3, and stage 6, is going to really enhance your ability and make it easier to go into the postgraduate course. In the postgraduate course, you may be tasked to give something like a complete set of aspects for 2 different societies according to their religion, their language, their economics, their schooling, and so on, their family life and all that, and then compare the two societies from the results you got after each one. And, you know, when you go into the postgraduate course, you're going to be doing almost the whole thing using ideograms. So practice those ideograms.
That reminds me. I would like to bring up your ideogram drill. If there are people here who could be practicing it, and if you could give a brief rundown of the purpose of it. And actually, before you came, I was told today that I might have the better part of the next 2 weeks off. If you and I can get together, even just the two of us, middle of the day, and get some of those things we just talked about recorded, would you be open to that? How's your schedule looking? Do you have visitors coming or guests or whatever? Or?
Only Saturday morning is, and then tomorrow evening.
Okay. Well,
we're working a financial ARV group, but
I won't be free till next week. It doesn't look like so.
It's in the works. The one that you have on on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is great, and it gets people started.
Right.
But we're in the works for. Are you there?
I'm here. Sorry, I'm switching over.
All right.
Sorry.
We're in the works for an ideogram program that works on iPads, iPhones, tablets.
That's what we need.
All that, and on the internet as well. And is an actual program that will, the one you have is a recording, and so it's going to give the same ideograms every time.
It barely gets the job done, though.
That's better than nothing, Well,
I've been lost without it.
Yeah, It really helps. And listen, a lot of people don't like ideograms, and so they don't do ideograms for stage 1 and all that. All of remote viewing is built on the foundation of ideograms. You take out that foundation, and your viewing's going to crumble. It's guaranteed.
You can't make a cake without flour or soda,
That's right, yeah.
It's a building block. It's how you establish sight contact. So anyway, to access this, I've made posts, but right here on my website is Lynn Buchanan's ideogram drill. And also we've cleaned up the recording library and the webinar registration. So all you ever have to do is go here, and it will direct you through to WebEx, and you can always see what the coordinates are, what the dates are of the discussions, and so on. So you have that, and then you have a button that takes you directly to the ideogram drill. I get half a dozen screens up, same thing. And you won't be able to hear it if I play it now. But as I've tried to post, I had to make a webinar of my laptop, which runs slow, so you have that lag plus WebEx lag, and you're not supposed to be watching Lynn and the words that come up anyway. You're supposed to be listening. So this will, once you fire it up, you're not supposed to watch it. Just get your hand moving on the paper and follow his cues.
Yeah, when Daz put his paragraph up about this, he started out with, Teresa says, don't watch this program. And then it goes on to explain, listen to it instead, but it starts out with, sounding like whatever you do, don't watch this program.
Good point. Anyway, listen to it, and that's all you need to do. And I can't vary your speed the way his original program could, but if you didn't have an ideogram drill before, you have one now.
Yeah, like I say, we're trying to get one out on the website so that you can just call up the website and click on it, and it will take you through gestalts and all that. And hopefully what we're going to try to do at some point later is make it so that if you want to do the ideogram drills more specifically tailored to you, you will have a password and it will list all of the ideograms that you're building into it, and it will give you the ideograms that you're used to. So.
Oh my gosh, we're up to 841 views on these YouTube videos. And I've only had them up maybe 10 days.
Yeah.
So it's the viewing community.
Yeah.
And I told these folks who are here tonight, it's mostly the guest speakers and your tutorials, not necessarily the target of the week, but they're still there. If anybody ever wants to say they're pulling this out of thin air, it's like, no, you just go here and listen to these people pull it out of thin air. So anyway.
At some point, Teresa, you may want to put these onto a DVD as well, and you know, make it available either at cost or make a profit or free.
Well, actually, YouTube has a program that I could be making some money. I can't with these. There are too many people involved.
Okay, yeah.
I'd have to be just me. So these are for the greater good. That's why I made them. And I thought oh, this would, if I could make it the money thing, it would pay for my rent for, you know, the website or something, the maintenance. Nope, back to the greater good. Can't do it. So much for that money. It just doesn't seem to work.
Before I go, I just have to say, Lynn, it sounds like they're going to put your your interview in Aperture in the next month or so here.
So which interview?
The one that you and I did.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
So Cheryl had just contacted me about that.
Boy, who's the gray-headed old fat guy there?
No comment.
I find his picture in his military shirt. That's the one that's going to be in my office. In your the DIA sweatshirt.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I only wore my uniform, I think, 3 times the last 10 years I was in service, so.
Yeah. All right. Well.
I did, however, lose a bet one time.
Uh-huh.
And wound up having to pay for it by going through the White House in my Russian Army uniform. So I'm sure I'm on some kind of a hit list somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm pretty much on a bunch of watch lists, so by default. So, okay, it is 9:56. Anybody have anything they'd like to say to wrap this up?
I think it was good work by everybody. I thought Michelle's was good too. So, you know.
I thought that everybody's session who had it to turn in had a huge learning opportunity available to them.
Yeah, I would like to. I'm just almost willing to bet money on the fact that Janine is going to get that target sometime in the near future through somebody else, and I mean that just has every earmark in the world of jumping target.
Well, we will see. It's going to be interesting. Okay, well, in that case, I think it's time to say goodnight, John boy.
Okay, good night.
Good night. See you guys in a couple of weeks. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you for having us.
To teach us. Just shut down here.